Hey everyone, Rarity Dash here. Time for another Patreon-sponsored blind reaction. And this one comes to you courtesy of Surferior, who has requested that I react to How Good Was Pachirisu Actually? History of Pachirisu in Competitive Pokemon, Gens 4 through 7 by False Swipe Gaming. So, yeah, competitive Pokemon. I know nothing about this. I don't even really know what it looks like. I mean, I guess it's like the actual like online battles that people have, or versus battles. I would guess it would focus mostly on that. Otherwise, what would it be even? But yeah, I guess there's some people out there who like are really, really serious about their Pokemon and have these competitive Pokemon battles. Yeah, and Pachirisu is, I guess, one of these people. I don't know. Again, something I know nothing about, but much like the speedrunning, I assume there's going to be something interesting to it. It'll be an interesting story, and hopefully a good video. Well, let's get started and find out. Here we go. Alright. FSG.
What's up, everyone? Next up, we have Pachirisu. This adorable electric squirrel is of course known by most as the 4th generation's answer to Pikachu, as well as an important member of Dawn's team in the anime. But today we'll examine if Pachirisu
somehow I thought Pachirisu was like a user, like an actual competitive Pokemon gamer.
How good was Pachirisu
but it's actually a Pokemon.
And in this video, we'll be going over these competitive formats. Lamentably, Pachirisu's viability in the 4th generation was non-existent. Its stats are miserable, its move pool was barren, and pure electric typing is not great defensively, as it only resists electric and flying, the latter of which isn't too useful, and it's also weak to the ever-present ground type attack. But this isn't to say that a pure electric Pokemon can't succeed. There are several examples to the contrary, like Raikou, but Pachirisu's awful stats and move
Electric doesn't really have many other weaknesses besides
Pokemon
ground,
it could handle was incredibly low. It was outdone by just about every other half-decent electric type in the game, which were better all-around Pokemon with superior stats, move pools, and quite often a secondary typing and or ability that would assist with pure electric's defensive hindrances. OU had top-tier choices in Zapdos and the Rotom appliances, while Magnezone, Jolteon, and the aforementioned Raikou were also quite good. UU's Lantern,
if you're using the legendary Pokemon, then of course that's...
And even in NU, Pachirisu was inferior to the host of electric
obvious thing to
all
do.
of which were usable in UU as well, like Ampharos,
I like the sharp
Raichu,
one.
Magneton, Manectric, Luxray, Electrode, and Electabuzz. In fact, it was even outclassed by fellow Pikachu clones Plusle and Minun, because at least those two could potentially make their teammates threatening by baton passing nasty plots. Sure, if you really tried, you could get a specially defensive set to do some work in NU battles with tricks like Discharge Paralysis, Light Screen Support, Super Fang to have opposing HP stats, and U-Turn to get a teammate in for free. However, realistically speaking, Pachirisu was not an optimal choice. Anyone who used it would be using it because they loved using it in-game and wanted its cuteness on their competitive team. The choice to use it wasn't fueled by a desire to win at all costs, which made it a gimmick. As sad as it is, Pachirisu never got any genuine competitive use in Gen 4. Pachirisu did gain Volt Absorb in Generation 5, which is a fine ability on Pokemon that are already good, which Thundurus Therian was, and Pachirisu was, of course, not. The introduction of monsters like Terrakion kicked the power level up several notches. Formerly powerful Pokemon like Flygon and Raikou,
it's cool seeing what the game looks like,
which is part of the domino effect for lower
tiers,
and
so
on and so forth. Now, this only pertained to Pachirisu in so far that it was even less viable, even all the way down in NU. Now a step lower than the previous generation, thanks to the new RU standing above it. You'd think it was
because as a reminder,
to not have the difference noticed.
My Pokemon history went straight from Generation 3 to the most recent one.
Shock of no one.
Went straight from Sapphire to Shield.
Tried to draw up a defensive set that you could justify as having the slightest.
Which is why I've never heard of this Pokemon.
So long as you didn't care too much about winning. Instead, Pachirisu's NU role turned to one of altruism, dedicating all of its efforts to giving away its item to its opponent, either with Bestow or Fling, for a more aggressive approach. It even went so far as to covet a second opponent's item just so it could gift it back. So in the Christmas metagame, Pachirisu was top tier, up there with Delibird and Snover. But beyond that, calling it one of the worst Pokemon in the game is accurate, though I'm sure it doesn't mind because it's just so darn cute. John Q competition might claim that cuteness doesn't win battles, but he's just a grouch. Generation 6 did not offer Pachirisu any of the numerous significant buffs it needed to approach even being semi-viable.
It is a pretty cute Pokemon, gotta say.
Nuzzle. A new lowest tier was introduced, PU, and anyone who even thought about it was sure to not be surprised when they learned Pachirisu resided there, although mostly on a technicality, because it still wasn't viable even down there. Sure, Super Fang seems like a good tool to disrupt opponents, but Pachirisu just didn't have the defensive utility to get into games safely and pull it off, or the offensive capability to make the damage stick to anything with a recovery move. There just wasn't any competitive reason to use Pachirisu over PU's more commonly seen electric types like Zebstrika and Raichu, whose superior speed and offense was simply more effective than Pachirisu's defensive poise. Not that they stood a chance in the cuteness department, especially if Pachirisu busted out the real
cuteness is important
such as
too.
Sweet Kiss and Fake Tears, but apparently that's not really relevant or whatever. And now, of course, the moment you've all been waiting for. For all of its mediocrity, all its status as a Pika clone, and all its lack of notable traits, Pachirisu is still, against all exception, the hero of what is probably the most famous moment in competitive Pokemon. We are talking, of course, about Seijin Park's odds-defying Pachirisu.
Yeah, and we do see the Pachirisu on the field, and the crowd goes crazy as soon as Pachirisu makes it out.
The squirrel that faced down dragons and lived. If you haven't watched the 2014 VGC finals yet, well, if you're watching this, chances are you have, because what else were the viewers thinking of when they requested this Pokemon? Seijin's jaw-dropping Pachirisu isn't just
I'm a special exception.
Rodents everywhere. It's maybe the most famous icon competitive Pokemon has ever played. That's famous even outside of the competitive Pokemon audience. In a metagame littered with more destructive power than players knew what to do with, featuring such monstrous offensive threats as Mega Charizard, Mega Mawile, Tyranitar, Garchomp, Salamence, and countless others, Pachirisu was Seijin's incredible anti-metagame pick that allowed him to clinch the World Championship. And I'm sure you've seen this clip. But why did Pachirisu work? Well, in short, because it fit Seijin's team perfectly. Pachirisu's main role is one that many Pokemon could fill in 2014, that of a redirector, due to its access to Follow Me. Throughout 2014, by far the most pedigreed redirecting Pokemon was Amoonguss, whose Rage Powder allowed it to do the job admirably well. Amoonguss has numerous qualities that make it, by and large, much better suited for the task than Pachirisu. Much higher defenses, an incredible choice of abilities in Regenerator and Effect Spore, and of course, access to Spore, one of the best moves in the game. Amoonguss was so impactful that many Pokemon started slapping on a pair of safety goggles to protect them from its powder-based moves. But as luck would have it, that was one of the reasons Pachirisu was able to succeed over its mushroom counterpart. Seijin picked Pachirisu specifically because its method of redirection was Follow Me, not Rage Powder. Seijin used Pachirisu alongside a double flying type attacking core of Mega Gyarados and Talonflame. The Gyarados plus Redirector combo was not at all uncommon in VGC 2014, as Gyarados players were eager to divert any electric attacks away from it. And as such, many of the aforementioned safety goggles started to go onto said electric types like Zapdos and Rotom, allowing them to
protect that Gyarados from electricity
powder and put the hurt on Gyarados. Grass types such as Ludicolo came with an innate immunity to Rage Powder, further complicating Amoonguss's life. Seijin discovered Pachirisu specifically as a counter to the counter, an incredible metagame pick who, with its Volt Absorb ability, made opponents think twice about how they would handle Gyarados. In addition, Pachirisu provided a great safety check against opposing Talonflame. Talonflame rose to prominence in part due to its ability to remove the annoying Amoonguss, who kept Gyarados safe with its Brave Bird. But Pachirisu's electric typing was a huge boon in tanking those Brave Birds and keeping the Gyarados safe long enough for its Dragon Dance to start wreaking havoc. Because the metagame was so largely physical, Seijin trained his Pachirisu to be fully physically bulky, matching up nicely with its naturally good special bulk and allowing it to tank huge hits with ease and heal up with Citrus Berry. But of course, it can't be understated that a huge portion of Pachirisu's success came from the fact that it was such an unexpected pick. Seijin was able to play incredible mind games with Pachirisu, switching into electric attacks aiming to pick off Gyarados or Talonflame. And once that first mind game was set up, Seijin could actually forego Follow Me out of knowledge that his opponent feared Volt Absorb, giving him free turns to attack. And it's here that Pachirisu really shone. While Amoonguss could become fairly dead weight under taunt, only able to maybe Mega Drain for paltry damage, Pachirisu was a rare example of a redirector who barely cared about taunt. Sure, it couldn't use Follow Me anymore, but Pachirisu was still a huge threat threat due to its access to Super Fang and Nuzzle. Super Fang, of course, allowed for Pachirisu to have a huge offensive presence, even with no investment and horrible base stats. Nuzzle also did damage, but it's not the damage Seijin cared about. It was that the paltry bit of damage Nuzzle did still made it an attacking move, allowing Pachirisu to spread paralysis
Also,
with 100% success, even under time.
Yeah, that's why Nuzzle is good.
Play style extremely
Always paralyzes.
well. The little squirrel put immense amounts of pressure on the opponent to remove it as soon as possible, and Seijin played knowing this, using all of Pachirisu's moves in concert to incredible effect so he could maximize its impact. Seijin seized his opportunities decisively, tacking on Super Fang damage and paralysis intelligently, making Pachirisu just as much of a problem either way. If you try to hit Gyarados, Pachirisu redirects you. Then, as soon as you decide to switch strategies, Seijin would read you and leave you reeling with the Super Fang or paralysis. Seijin's team was carefully crafted to exploit a hole in the metagame. He plainly saw that the rest of the world hadn't quite spotted how he could flip the redirection game on its head and give Gyarados
pretty
a
damn
new life
smart
by giving birth to one of the greatest sets of all time. His Pachirisu will go down in history as it should, and inspired legions of imitations, few of whom ever managed to replicate his success. Pachirisu's one other LAN tournament, Top Cut, came via Jonathan Mr. Fox Hiller, who used it at the tail end of the 2014 season to support his own squad of Electric Weak Pokemon, including Talonflame, Greninja, and Mega Aerodactyl, and took 5th at the Philly Regionals. However, we said LAN tournaments. While Seijin certainly gave Pachirisu its highest accolade as he friggin' won Worlds, Pachirisu did have one other notable achievement before Seijin even ever touched it. Angel Miranda brought his own unique spin on Pachirisu to the May International Challenge, a full 3 months before Seijin. The International Challenge was a Wi-Fi based event played to earn points, explaining why Angel didn't catch as much buzz, despite the fact that he placed top 4 in the US and top 32 in the world. If it had been an offline official tournament, Angel might have exploded Pachirisu's usage before Seijin, especially considering the set he ran was arguably even more innovative. Angel's Pachirisu shared 3 moves and even a Citrus Berry with Seijin's build, but in place of Protect, he ran a move almost never seen in VGC, Ion Deluge. For those of you who don't know what Ion Deluge does, and
never heard of it.
I don't blame you, but it basically acts like one of the 8 abilities, like Aerolate and Pixelate, making all normal type moves electric for 1 turn. Angel paired Ion Deluge with his Choice Specs Hydreigon to incredible success in 2 different ways. First of all, it changed opposing Kangaskhan's attacks to be electric, allowing Hydreigon to resist returns and fire back. And of course, if they targeted Pachirisu, it gets to heal all the way up. But Ion Deluge's true power came with another unexpected move, Hyper Beam. With Ion Deluge up, Hydreigon suddenly has a 150 base electric nuke to blow away opposing Azumarill, who might oppose it. So it's like Hydreigon pulls a gigantic cannon out from behind its back and suddenly fires at full power. You never see it coming. Someone tell Joker. But of course, giving up Protect is a hard call, and given that Seijin was trying to protect his Gyarados, it's no surprise he didn't want to put more electric type moves on the field. Seijin's Pachirisu will always be the gold standard by which all innovative picks are judged, and when you think about Pachirisu, he should be the first name that comes to mind. But maybe now, when you're pondering a certain electric squirrel, think of Angel Miranda second. Also, thank you so much to Angel Miranda himself for providing this information. You can follow him on Twitter here. Also follow Seijin, why not? Everything got stronger with Generation 7 Z moves, and while there was nothing new in store for Pachirisu, it certainly didn't have the strength to make use of them, which was bad news squirrels, given that there was now a rank below PU for those fully evolved Pokemon that couldn't hack it even all the way down there, the dreadful purgatory of being untiered. If our lovable electric blue squirrel couldn't find a niche, it would end up there, and the odds of that were sadly looking likely, given that generational power creep knocking everything down a notch or 2 would make it even more difficult than the previous generation, a prospect made even more dismal by Pachirisu's lack of new toys, as if it's not deserving of Game Freak's endless adulation when it so clearly is. Indeed, there were several other electric types in PU, namely the excellent Electros and Rotom Frost, as well as the solid Oricorio Pom-Pom, Lantern, and Manectric. All of them were vastly superior to Pachirisu, strictly in the competitive scene of course, and thus poor Pachirisu plummeted to that awful land of untiered, to the outrage of anyone with a human heart. Pachirisu had completely dropped off the VGC map post-2014, and the restricted Pokemon-laden metagame didn't seem like much of a place for it to make a comeback, because it wasn't. However, in the convention-defying spirit of its original use, Alessio Yuri Bashero used it to reach 9th at the Sheffield Regionals, and came in 72nd at Worlds overall. And we couldn't find much information about the set he used, but we give Yuri all the props in the world for at least having a decent placement with Pachirisu. And that's it. So how good was Pachirisu actually? Well, if OU was based on cuteness, it would be the most used Pokemon in each generation. And I mean, dude, just look at it. But unfortunately, OU is based
adorable
on superficial qualities like base stats and move pools and whatnot, departments which Pachirisu might be a little bit lacking in. Hence, its utterly non-existent usage in any competitive singles tier ever. Luckily, the world rejoiced when Pachirisu claimed its rightful place at the top in VGC 2014. Hopefully, if Diamond and Pro actually get remixed, the best Pikachu clone will get some much-deserved love in the form of buffs that let it show who the true best electric rodent is. Thanks for watching, everyone. And as always, if you liked the video and you want to see more, be sure to subscribe to Fall Swipe Gaming for more weekly Pokemon content. And in the comments, I want to know, what do you think about competitive Pachirisu? What would you do to make it stronger? Do you think it would ever
I don't think I was meant to watch this video.
Whatever it is, let me know in the comments. Also, thank you so much to our patrons for continued support of our videos, and thank you to everyone else watching as well.
Yeah, I
follow my crew on these social media platforms, and that's all I got. See you next time, everyone.
I seriously thought from the title that Pachirisu was going to be the name of a player, because I had never ever heard of this Pokemon. I'm guessing it isn't even in Shield. Let me check that. I mean, it might be now with the expansion that I haven't gotten to yet, but was it in the actual core game? Yeah, unobtainable. No, it's not even in the expansion yet. So this is a Pokemon that I've had that's only been in the game. It's only been in the games that I was away for. Generation 4, 5, 6, and 7. All of the ones I skipped, because I last one before Shield was Sapphire. So I've had no opportunity to encounter this Pokemon. So as far as I knew, this thing didn't even exist until now. And if it is something that's popular with people, as this video seems to indicate that they were hoping it would get better, Generation 8, I guess, wasn't what they wanted there. Well, maybe it'll be in the second expansion? I don't know. I'm not really sure if we have a list of what's going to be in that yet. But, yeah, so far, it's just not not something that's shown up yet. So, yeah. Interesting. Well, that was kind of an interesting video. Really, just the whole part about when they were using it. That one, I guess, Generation 6, when it was at least situationally useful in the competitive world. That was all pretty interesting. It really shows the level of strategy that people get to with these things. It's kind of crazy. I mean, there is obviously a lot of strategy that can be used, that can be employed with Pokemon. And for the actual base game, just going through the main story, a lot of that never gets utilized, which is why I tend to just give my Pokemon their best actual attack moves, and sometimes forego the more situationally useful stuff. Though I guess eventually I'm probably going to get to the point where I do challenge people online or whatnot. You guys seem to want that. I doubt I'll be very good, but I'll give it a try. And maybe I'll have to consider stuff like this. And I'll probably also be using like non-optimal Pokemon, because I gotta use my favorites, of course. But yeah, very, very interesting stuff. Stuff that I know nothing about, and a Pokemon I had never encountered before, did not know existed, and now I do, I guess. So, yeah. Anyway, hope you liked the reaction. Let me know if you did, and see you in the next